Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is Friday, November 27th. This is our third refresh message this week. We're talking about He Who Promised is Faithful. I'm Pastor Steve Green, and I love this subject we're talking about. It adds such a tremendous amount of clarity to what it is that, as Christians, what we're doing here. In Hebrews 5:14 it says, but solid food belongs to those who are of full age. Greek word teleos again, often translated perfect or mature. That is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. I think this is a simple but amazing truth. The only way we can know what God is talking about in the Bible is by repeatedly doing it. Faith in God combined with action, and in this case the action we're considering is obedience to His Word, produces a supernatural result. The result spoken of here is supernaturally seeing. It's discerning good and evil. It's a moral intelligence. It is an inner transformation. Whenever there's faith and action with it, there's this Spirit of God moving, the power of God is moving. And in this case, the result is an inward transformation in us to where our heart is changed. And we can see things that we didn't see before. This is the kind of knowledge Paul was speaking about when he said, you don't know anything yet as you ought to know. Now this sets up a conflict. It's opposite to human nature. We want to think that we know something because we've learned it, we've read it, we've heard it, we've discussed it with other people, we've aced the test. We can even teach it ourselves, and therefore I know it. That is what we want to believe. We also want to think that we're mature because of our in-depth knowledge and extensive knowledge of the Word of God. However, these things are not true. As we read about the Corinthians, they were enriched in all knowledge, and yet they knew nothing yet as they ought to know. Seeing and knowing the truth comes only by doing it. Spiritual maturity comes only by practicing it. Jesus said in John 8, verses 31 and 32, if you abide in my word, and abide in the Bible means doing it, believing it and doing it. If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. Jesus said, make disciples of all nations, teaching them to observe all things I've commanded you. Then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. And so knowing the truth comes only when we do the truth. That is the kind of knowledge, the inner transformation that is necessary. And there's a result, as we just said, and it's a supernatural result. It makes us free. We know the truth. It makes us free. We experience salvation. We have the abundant life. We enter His rest. We enjoy the blessed life. This is why we're talking about these things. Just to close with Ephesians 4, verses 17 to 18, and this I say, Paul speaking to the Ephesian church, this I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind. Because a person outside of Christ, the rest of the Gentiles, has no moral intelligence, not on the level that God is teaching in the Bible. He continues in verse 18 saying, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God. Remember, we just said that it is by this moral intelligence that we enter His rest. We enjoy the abundant life. We experience salvation. It says here that they, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God, from this salvation, from entering this rest, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them. It's not ignorance of countless things that people can know. There's infinite knowledge here on the earth. That's not the ignorance he's talking about, being ignorant of those things, but it's being ignorant of the moral intelligence that God is telling us is necessary in order to not be alienated from the life of God because of the blindness of their heart. It says, so we have a calling on our life. It's to do the Word of God, to practice it, to receive grace, to understand how to flow with the Spirit in practicing the Word of God and loving one another, and to experience the inner transformation, the spiritual maturity that leads to the life of God. We trust that we're all doing this together, and we thank you for your partnership. Have a great day.